Welcome, guys. Hi, it's Yuzi.
And I'm Revon.
I'm Carlo.
And welcome to treesumpodcast. This is episode 5. So, we have a special guest again. Ito na yung pangalawang episode, pangalawang namin na mayroon naman kaming special guest.
Yes.
Yes. So, she's from Singapore. And so, Carlo, let's introduce her na.
Yes.
Go.
And hi, welcome, Taj.
Hi, Carlo. Hi,
Welcome,
Yuzi.
Taz.
Hi, Revon. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you din. Salamat
Thank
din.
you.
Salamat.
Ayun. So, can you briefly introduce yourself para sa mga nanonood?
Sure. I'm Taj Mahal Yarza Aquino. Yes, that's Taj Mahal. You could just call me Taj. So right now I'm in Singapore. I've been here for 2 years, but prior to that I was in Malaysia for 10 years.
Wow.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very recent yung movement ko dito, in fact. 2 years pa lang. Interesting nevertheless. I grew up in Mandaluyong. Lineage pretty much my mother's side is Ilocos, while my father naman is Nueva Ecija. Although I didn't really get to experience going to the province. That's why actually very envious nga ako doon sa iba to get to do that. So very much Mandaluyong talaga yung upbringing ko. In terms of bloodline, well, I'm a quarter Spanish, in fact, and the rest is a mix of Chinese, Spanish, American. Pero it's just funny kasi ang lumabas lang talaga sa akin Chinese. Yung mga kapatid ko lumabas yung But still, okay lang. Yun. And then, Carlo is actually my classmate in high school. So,
Yes.
so I was sobrang proud ako sa kanya na he's doing this podcast to you guys.
Thank you.
I studied at the University of Santo Tomas. Although that were the earlier years, I eventually finished my education when I moved to Malaysia with University of Southern Queensland. So maybe later, I'm sure mapag-uusapan natin yun, how I ended up doing that. Professionally, I'm doing digital and business transformation. Ang related doon, when I was in Malaysia, I did a lot of that when I was heading marketing operations and experience center operations. And then when I moved here, yung which is my pinaka-recent na involvement sa Malaysia, it was a technology company, information communication technology company. Here in Malaysia, it's in banking. So I was first vice president for business management here.
Wow.
So we're doing solutions. Again, the transforming the way we go to the market. Yun yung pinaka-recent ko. So yeah, and then I'm living with my husband here. I recently got married.
Yes, congratulations nga pala.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so yun lang. That's it so far.
Dapat pala kasama ka rin sa buhay single versus buhay pamilyado. Dapat sinama
Pwede.
Yung past
Kasi ikaw medyo recent So medyo meron ka bang
Pero,
may honeymoon phase pa yan.
Oo.
Ask ko lang sana yung name. Noong nung narinig ko yung name mo, sabi ko, siguro, parents na siguro, taga doon. So, tapos na narinig ko yung lineage mo, sabi ko, parang ang layo. So, meron ba nating ma-explain?
May story ba dyan? May story ba dyan sa
name?
Meron. Ito, actually, nakakatawa yun kasi every time people hear my name, yan yung laging tanong, whether it's a stranger, whether it's sa work, may mga funny stories pa nga ako. Pero my dad kasi reads a lot of history. And then, lahat ng kapatid ko actually, historical names. Pero ako lang yung kasi dahil ako yung pinakakamukha. Ako lang yung naging kamukha ng father ko. Kasi yung ngayon na-mention ko kanina, diba? Yung mga kapatid ko, nakuha nila yung Spanish, American look. So, syempre proud na proud siya na ako lang yung kamukha niya. So, sabi niya, it has to be something perfect. Taj Mahal kasi historically, it's known to be the world's most perfect architecture, diba? Plus, of course, the love story and all that. So, he said it had to be special. So, kaya ako pinakalan. So, minsan nga nagjo-joke kami kasi parang ako lang hindi na inhuman lokohan namin kasi ako lang hindi siya
monument kay monument.
Correct. Yun.
Tama.
Pinangalan sa tao. So yeah, that's the background.
Actually,
pero
so funny story.
Oo nga eh.
The previous guest naman was
nga.
the brothers and sisters was called blue, red, and pink. Di ba? Tama ba?
Yes. Pink, blue, and red.
Pink, blue, and red.
Kulay naman. Sa kulay naman sila pinangalan.
Alam mo naman, Philippines. Mahilig tayo sa themes.
Originality. Kailangan may
Depende sa era yan.
Ay, ganun ba?
Kasi kung yung mga 1970s...
Parang sinasabi mo masyado ng matagal.
Hindi, kasi yung mga 1970s, pag 1970s yung mga magulang mo, medyo creative yan eh. Kasi siyempre medyo mga yan eh. Marami silang kayang gawin.
Totoo yan. Mahilig talaga sa history ang mga mahilig talaga sila sa history.
Ayun.
Wow.
Ilan kayo magkakapatid?
4. So, I have 2 brothers sa Philippines sila. Tapos meron din ako isang sister, she's teaching sa Bulacan State University sa Philippines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then ako...
So, ikaw... sorry, go.
Go ahead.
Ikaw lang yung nagtatrabaho sa ibang bansa, bale? Or...
Yes.
Wow. So,
ako lang.
Going sa paano, ba yan? Parang matagal mo nang gustong ganun? Or dahil ba sa work, kaya ka napunta sa Malaysia, right? Yung first time mo.
Yeah.
So, related ba sa work yun? Or parang dream mo talaga na I want to work abroad? Or parang by lang? Kumbaga, sige, go lang. Parang ganun. Meron bang rin yan?
Ironically, kung kilala mo ko before, younger, kung makikilala mo ko younger, I'm one of those people who actually said, I will never leave the Philippines. I have always had this very, very nationalistic belief of, lahat na lang ng, matatalino, feeling matalino, no? Lahat na lang, lumalabas ng Philippines.
Uy, kinokopyahan ko yan nung high school,
Oo naman, nabubuhayin tayo,
Humingi ako ng,
nabubuhayin tayo, O yun. Tapos, talagang ako nun, nothing against people going abroad. Pero I remember telling myself dati, hindi talaga alas ng Philippines. Tapos I guess nagkataon lang kasi what happened to me nung early years, parang decades na nung early years nun, parang kumbaga, sabi ko, nagkataon kasi pinagsabay ko yung school tsaka work. I needed to do it simultaneously. So, nagkaroon, and then of course, like everybody, we all have our personal challenges, yung mga may pinagdadaanan tayong mga
True.
buhay, di ba? So, I remember, there was a time, sabi ko lang sa sarili ko, for some reason, I was praying for it, and I was like, and by the way, hindi ako religious. Nagkataon lang, talagang yun yung sinasabi ko, you know what, I need a break. Kasi, sabi ko dati, I'm not gonna leave the country. In fact, I'm one of those, I have to admit, I'm one of those people who actually said, hindi ako mag-work sa BPO.
Oh,
Not
okay.
because, I really was. But guess what? Doon nag-flourish yung career ko. So, sabi ko, I'm not gonna work in those things. Pero may napansin kasi ako parang, as much as you want to plan your life out, may mga nangyayari kasi talaga that you just have to be open to the journey. So,
True.
ang napansin ko noon, may mga times kasi na nagkakaroon ako ng opportunity that hindi ko hinihingi, but they were coming my way and they were abroad. Okay. Noong time na to, corporate na ako sa BPO. I was doing operations, business development, and all these things. Nagkataon nung time na yon, I was actually telling myself, I need a break. Tapos parang sabi ko, Lord, bigyan mo ko ng escape. Parang gano'n. Sabi ko, kahit abroad pa yan, tatanggapin ko na. Gumanon ako. And kasi in BPO, right, we were working in shifts. And at that time, nagna-night shift ako. And I was like, ito, I don't know kung nakakatawa or coincidence, but I was like literally praying before going to sleep nung morning na yon. Sabi ko, kung ano man yan, whether it's abroad, I'll take it. Gumanon ako. Nung natulog ako, literal, like lahat naman tayo nung time na yon, Nokia pa. Wow, nahahala tayo age. Nokia pa, di ba?
6150.
Yung pangalan eh. Alam ko basta yung nagsislide eh. Mga gusto mga ganun eh.
71.
Mga ganon.
Mga ganon.
Sabi ko noon, usually, yun yung ginagamit nating alarm din, di ba? Literal, considering that mahirap gumising kasi gabi ka, di ba? Hindi, before nag-alarm yung phone ko, literal nag-ring yung phone ko, headhunter na. Tapos, yun yung opportunity to Malaysia.
Local headhunter. Or foreign?
The company partnered with a headhunter in the Philippines.
Okay.
Tapos, kasi noong time na yon marami na akong background sa BPO eh. Nag-client engagement na ako, nag-business development na ako, built operations and things like that. So, syempre, di ba, Philippines is well-known in the industry. So, they wanted to bring in the best talents. No, Hawks, nakikibest. Best practices to Malaysia at the time, this company. They wanted to grow that business. So, there were several of us hired. So, yun, kasama ako doon. So, ilan ba kami? 6 ata kami, 7 na dumating. Yeah. So, ganun din, dumating yon. So, yun. Kaya ako napunta ng Malaysia.
Ngayon, nasa
Singapore.
Singapore.
So, ano yun? After that phone call, wala nang hesitation yun.
Wala nang
agad.
isip-isip
Leap of faith na yun.
I'll be very honest. I had a lot of me being this detail-oriented person and all these things. I had hesitations. May mga pinagduda, not necessarily na mali or niloko ka. Hindi naman ako niloko. In fact, I went to a very good company. May mga hesitations ako, which was proven, tumama rin ako dun sa hesitations ko pagdating ko ng Malaysia. Pero at the same time, I was telling myself, you know what? You gotta go out of your comfort zone.
True.
You prayed for it. It came. Maybe I was wrong about, things that, maybe just give it a shot. It was a difficult decision, to be honest. Kasi noong time na yun, nag-aaral ako eh. Pinagsabay ko kasi ang school sa corporate.
Nag-aaral ka as, college or
College.
master's?
College. Because what happened was, there was a point wherein I had to take responsibilities and all. We had, family challenges. I had to drop out of school. When I dropped out of school, actually, yun yung time na nagra-radyo ako nun. So anyway, I dropped out of school. And then when I came back sa eskwela, syempre nagtatrabaho na ako nun. In fact, kaya ako napa-corporate, it's because radyo kasi medyo, at least the role I was handling at that time, demanding sa oras. Because I was helping the station manager with the operations. Okay. And I needed something more stable time-wise. Kasi frustration ko talaga yun eh.
Anong station yan? Sorry, ano yan? AM, FM?
FM? It was, at that time, it was Power 108.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually, there were some stations that the station manager ran in different places than like Cavite. And then yung latest was Blazin 105.9. That was yung pinakahuli. So yeah, and then so I did corporate, so that have that stable na time. And then you had the experience, and then parang sabi ko, I remember one of the things I was telling myself is, di ba Taj, you also told yourself you're not gonna be in the BPO industry. At that time, call center pa nga, hindi pa used yung term na
BPO.
Call center pa nga. Then that's when I was like telling myself, di ba you also told yourself na you're not gonna do BPO, but look at you, doon ka nag-flourish, maybe it's time for you to also open yourself to the possibility of going out, So yun.
So, wala namang yan sa parents, wala, talagang okay naman sila, supportive naman. Kasi syempre, ano ba yun, parang group kayo or ikaw lang mag-isa as Syempre, mag-worry yun, babae ka. Syempre, parents, mag-aalala ng gano'n.
Group kami, although we were all hired separately. All with different experiences. And then, a few factors. In fact, siguro I have to thank my mother na din kasi my mother knows my attitude. Hindi kasi ako yung type na my mom knows pag sinabi ko I'm gonna do something, hindi ako medyo yung paalam na type na anak. Yung gano'n. So,
Gagawin na lang.
And then my mother is very supportive. In fact, the way I told her, hindi ko pinopromote na ganito dapat sabihin ng mga anak sa magulang. Pero pag naisip ko na lang, natatawa na lang ako. Pero actually, the way I said it, in fact, was, I think I just invited her out. Nagpunta kami sa mall, tapos for dinner. And then, nung lumabas na kami, I just told her, oh, by the way, I signed the contract, punta akong Malaysia. Siyempre, parang sa reaction na lang niya, parang, okay. Tapos, years after, doon ko na lang narinig yung mga story na my mother started asking pala mga relatives ko, asking na, okay lang ba yun? Kasi di ba, balita ko, Muslim country yung Malaysia, yung mga ganon. Pero I think my mother knew na yung personality ko kasi even growing up, very hindi mapaalam. Again, I'm not promoting that. Pero I guess yun kasi naging personality ko. And I'm very, very lucky na ang mother ko supportive.
So, ano yun? How long from signing of the contract to you boarding the plane? Gaano katagal yung ano?
Nung time na yun, nung August, I think umabot din ng 2 or 3 months. Supposedly, parang mas maikli doon. But I think there were some delays immigration-wise kasi at that time, very particular ang Philippines sa mga babae na lumalabas ng Philippines. And at that time, bata pa ako. And then I think they were just very careful of the what do you call this? The crimes of, pag diba? So, na-delay lang ng mga a month or 2. By October, nag-sign ako ng contract, I think August, 2-3 months. Punta na ako ng Malaysia.
So at least you had time to to transition muna. Hindi yung katulad ng iba. Lipad ka na next week.
Actually, nung sinihiningan naman ako ng projection, ito nga nakakatawa sa akin nung hiningan ako ng nung binigyan pala ako ng projection kung kailan kailan kami pupunta. Pinlan ko talaga na, ang gusto ko lang, after ko mag-work, 1 month free to spend time with the family. Okay. Tapos, so, para I work backwards. Pero, nagkataon, siguro blessing in disguise na rin yun, nagkataon medyo na-delay, na-extend ng konti. Bago ako pumunta. But, it doesn't hurt, it's just another month or 2 anyway. So, yun.
So, sabi mo kanina, 10 years ka dun, di ba? Sa Malaysia. Yeah. So, pero pauwi-uwi din naman yun or straight or ilang years yun bago ka nakauwi or may contract ba yun? Pag ganun ba, straight ba yun? Or naman, parang flexible naman?
Flexible naman. In fact, I traveled quite frequently din. Going back to the Philippines once a year. Although I had other travels inserted na within the Asian region.
Okay.
I tried to go out, ganyan.
So, parang naging okay din, di ba?
I think I was fortunate din. Initially, it was just a 2-year project. And then, I guess, over time, nung nandun na ako, the next thing you know, like, we have this, extended. The next thing you know, 10 years na ako.
Parang na-enjoy mo ba? Na-enjoy mo
pero ang bilis lang nung 10 years na yun, no?
Ang bilis, actually. Parang pag iniisip ko, pag I look back, parang nagugulat din ako eh. Kaya parang, whenever I go through challenges or things that, are tough, sometimes I just tell myself like, hey, look at yourself now. It's not something expected.
Kasi that's one thing, that's the difference also from working here and staying here in the Philippines. Kasi mabilis nga 1 taon, pero mas mabilis pag nasa ibang bansa. Lalo-lalo na pag malayo ka sa ibang pamilya mo. Tapos busy ka sa trabaho mo, magugulat ka lang, patapos na yung taon.
Yeah, oo. And to add about the vacation, siguro sinuwerte din ako kasi Malaysia is one of the countries, if not the country with the most number of public holidays.
Talaga? Mas marami pa sa Pilipinas?
Yes. So, ang nangyayari sa akin...
Long weekend.
Oo, as in literal. And they love their public holidays. Like, say, take for example, yung 3, of course, may mga kalat din na public holidays. Pero yung key, they have the In Malaysia, they call it Hari Raya. That's after the fasting season. So yun yung parang pinaka-Christmas ng Muslims, right?
Okay,
So that one. And then, of course, Christmas, they recognize, kumbaga kasi they really respect religion kasi doon. So Christmas, New Year, so yan. And then, so sandwich na agad yan. And then you also have Chinese New Year. Minsan sunod-sunod pa yun. I mean,
parang mas marami pa yung bakasyon sa pasok.
May ganung feeling actually minsan. Pros and cons. May pros and cons din sa so yun.
So pag yung mga holidays na yan,
umuwi ka.
Or nagtutour ka within the country, you visit places pa, ganon.
But definitely, merong uwi na once a year.
Okay. How long?
Okay. Ito yung nakakatawa dyan eh. Siguro ng mga first few travels ko, umaabot ako ng 3 weeks. Sinasagad ko. Ipunin ko yung leave ko. Tapos 3 weeks ako nasa Pilipinas. And then I think over time, nung nasanay ako sa Philippines, believe it or not, para after a week or two, I start looking for Malaysia. I look for the food, yan. Although I'm happy na nasa Philippines ako. Pero, tapos ang na-realize ko, pag sobrang haba ng vacation ko, pagbalik ko, at least the first few years, pagbalik ko ng Malaysia, na-homesick ako.
Talaga?
So, nagkaroon ako ng kasi parang mangyayari, magiging sobrang komportable ka, 3 weeks. Pagdating ko doon, balik na yun ako work, para ganun.
Yun ba yung unang uwi mo? Yun yung feeling na unang umuwi ka sa Pilipinas?
So, I made, totoo. So that, I think I made a conscious effort na iklian because of that. Long enough for me to enjoy, but not too long na parang I feel so at home. Tapos ma-homesick ako. Oo.
Pagbalik,
yung ginawa ko dati.
Yeah, at least, diba? Pero okay naman yung nagkaroon ka ba ng, siyempre pagkadating mo, ano bang naging mahirap pagdating mo sa Malaysia? I mean, naging okay ba lahat? Or may mga hardships pa? May mga parang nahirapan ka ba? Or parang ayoko na, parang mali, gusto ko na bumalik? Or parang sabi mo, nag-10 years, so parang naging okay ba lahat?
Nag-sink in, parang gano'n.
I wouldn't say I reached a point na gusto kong bumalik. Siguro yung mga moments na katulad doon, like napahaba yung vacation, bumalik ako ng Malaysia, na homesick ako, ganon. Tapos iniisip ko agad yung next vacation, medyo ganon. Pero hindi naman ako umabot sa point na gusto kong bumalik. Definitely in the 10 years, may challenges talaga. As in, siguro ang naging difference lang in a sense is nung pumunta kasi ako ng Malaysia, excited ako. Kasi while excited kasi talaga ako, kasi university-wise, Asian Studies major kasi ako. Wow, ito tayo sa mga hindi ko ng career, no? Asian Studies major kasi ako. So, parang feeling ko noon, I was so excited to see a country na binabasa ko lang, yung mga ganon. And then, like, excited ako to prove na, yeah, sure, it's a Muslim country, but it doesn't mean people there are, like, radical. Yung ganon yung mga mind. Yung parang gusto ko makita yung natututunan ko. So, excited ako noon. Plus the fact that I think by nature, adventure person kasi talaga ako. So, when I was there, I was really excited to explore. No denying there were challenges about, like, take for example, communication, meaning, you may be speaking English pareho, you think you perfectly understand each other, pero certain contexts are different, the first few times you feel frustrated, over time, sometimes I'm speaking their language na in terms of how they speak English, yung mga gano'n. Tapos, di ba? I'm sure na-experience yun sa Japan, di ba?
Dito sa Japan, ganun, parang binabaluktot mo yung English mo. Di minsan yung English mo, isasabay mo sa kanila yung paano sila mag-English.
Para maintindihan nila.
Hindi awkward, tsaka para hindi mo rin sila parang madisip. Nakakailang kasi pagka ginalingan mo, parang pinannounce mo na maayos.
Totoo. Kasi I even remember, nung first time ako lumabas, kumain, in-invite ako ng mga office mates ko doon. Sabi ko, can I have a glass of water? Parang, what? Ginanon na. Yung parang ilang beses ko inulit. Tapos nung gumanto ako, sabi ko, water. Nasaan na? Then sinabi nila yung local term. Tapos parang, so initially, tapos I even remember, yung sister ko niloko pa nga niya ako dati kasi I think yung unang vacation ko, sinabi niya na parang yun yung longest na narinig niya akong mag-Tagalog. Kasi alam ng sister ko, parang mas comfortable ako mag-express in English. Nakapag-Tagalog ako, pero yung pagtuloy-tuloy, mas ako sa English. Tapos, ang lokohan namin is, nag-joke ako kasi this is the most, parang sabi ko, ang dahing naipon, hindi ko nasabi lahat nung nasa Malaysia.
Tama yan. Alam mo yung pagka, siyempre wala kang makausap na
gumaling ako mag-Tagalog. Yun na-realize ko. Gumaling ako mag-Tagalog. Tapos, nakakatawa rin. Tapos, niloloko nila ako ng accent ko, nag-iba. Kasi parang naging, at least nung nasa Philippines ka, especially BPO, di ba? Tapos, sa school pa, how we speak, parang, American accent daw, or, tapos biglang pagdating sa Malaysia, where I speak with Malays, I speak with Chinese, I speak with Indians, na parang pag may kausap na ako back in the Philippines, pag pinapakinggan nila yung English ko, pati sometimes yung sentence construction ko, parang, hindi ko alam kung anong accent. Parang halo-halo na. Tapos may foreigner bosses pa ako na mga from Europe, Tapos parang parang wow, halo-halo. Hindi ko malaman kung American accent ka. Australian. Ayun.
Ano yung mga places na pwedeng puntahan dun sa Malaysia?
Actually, Malaysia. Interesting sa Malaysia, pagkain.
Wow,
there are a lot of things to see, pero ang interesting sa Malaysia, pagkain. In fact, when naalala ko dati, may kaibigan ako, minessage ako, sabi niya, what's good to see in Malaysia? Sabi ko sa kanya, what's good to see? Ang tanong sa Malaysia, what's good to eat? Tapos ang sagot niya sa akin, I'm on a diet. Sinagot sa kanya, Malaysia. Actually, interesting kasi maraming maganda sa Malaysia. At the same time, every corner you go, masarap ang pagkain. So let's say, you take for example, ang interesting kasi sa Malaysia, you have the Malays, you have the Chinese, you have the Indian. But at the same time, na-maintain nila yung rich culture. So if you wanna go to a country, tas you wanna experience all three, yung gusto mo makita ng Buddhist temple, at the same time gusto mo makita ng mosque, tapos gusto mo makita, tapos gusto mo makita how Chinese celebrate Chinese New Year, you could actually go to Malaysia. Not to mention, ang ganda ng nature sa Malaysia, that even in the city, pag nag-drive ka, sa kalsada itself, ang daming puno.
Okay.
So, ang ganda-ganda. There are highways, to quote my cousin, sabi pa nga niya, parang, the highways here are so nice. In fact, to some extent, it's even better than LA's. I don't know, I haven't been to LA. Pero ganun yung description niya. Pero totoo kasi even nung mga first few years ko, sa sobrang sarap magmaneho sa Malaysia, ang gagawin ko, magdadrive lang ako aimlessly kung saan ako marating. Kasi GPS ko na lang pabalik. Kasi ang sarap talagang mag-drive sa Malaysia. Huwag ka lang abutin rush hour traffic,
How bad? Sorry. How bad
yung traffic?
Well, definitely wala silang laban sa Pilipinas. Kasi matindi kasi sa Pilipinas.
So number 1 pa rin tayo.
Yes. Sabi nga nila, talo na natin Jakarta.
Wow.
So sad, di ba?
Paano ka nakapag-drive doon na gamit mo international license o kumuha ka ng license?
Interesting kasi nung dumating ako doon, expired license ko.
Good job.
Kasi wala nang kotse sa Pilipinas expired license ko. Ang policy nila sa Malaysia, kapag expired license mo at hindi mo na-convert bago ka pumunta doon, kailangan mo driving school. Buti na lang nag-driving school ako kasi yung mga first few times na nag-drive ako sa kalsada, I think parang atakihin ata sa puso yung instructor kasi right-hand drive sa Malaysia.
So baligtad. Okay.
Same sa Japan.
Sa tipong pag nag-intersection, pag walang kotse, delikado na ako niyan kasi parang ako, Saan nga ba ako ulit?
Nakakalito. Nakakalito.
Maninibago. Tama.
Oo.
Para sa mga Pilipinong sanay dito, once na pumunta ka ng ibang bansa, tapos baliktad, nakakalito talaga.
Maninibago
Promise.
ka talaga eh.
Oo.
Ganun din
Tama,
dito.
sabi niya pa kahit
Lalo-
walang sasakyan, di ba?
Driving school.
Lalo na sa Japan,
Oo.
ang style pa ng intersection nila, kung turning right ka o turning left ka, kailangan mo tumbukin yung gitna. Aabangan mo yung traffic.
Wow.
Oo, hindi ka tulad dito na
Yung-
everybody stop sa, di ba, stoplight, hinto lahat sa linya. Kasi hindi, yun, papasugurin kang ganyan, kala mo, babanggayin mo na yung kabila, tapos hihinto ka dun sa diamond na yun. May diamond dun sa gitna ng road, tutumbukin mo ganyan, kala mo, babanggayin mo sila, oh.
Ano?
Yung
Oo.
mahirap yung driving, yung test. I mean, yung nag-driving school ka? Or parang gagawin mo lang, tapos bibigyan kang license? Or may chance ka talagang bumagsak?
Meron din. Kasi may written, actually, computer. Papasok ka dun sa exam rooms nila. Tsaka meron ding practical. Siguro sa akin, it was easier to some extent kasi may background naman ako. I just really had to get used to right-hand drive.
Okay.
Hindi naman siya pricey or okay naman, parang normal, lang.
Malaysia, ang isa sa mga countries na pinakamura magkotse.
Talaga.
Talaga?
Hindi, I mean,
Lisensya.
yung driving, yung driving
Yung
test
processing
mo. Yung
na-
driving school ka
Driving
pala.
test, magkano ba
I mean, nung
binayan?
nag-school ka,
Written
mahal
test,
ba siya?
driving test, di ba may mga
Siguro,
ganun pa?
okay. Siguro school, hindi ko na matandaan masyado pero I think, siguro naka 400 ringgit din ako. 400, kasi 1 ringgit is about, 13 pesos. So, siguro 4,000-5,000 pesos din yun. Mga ganun.
Not bad naman.
Kasi dito,
Daan libo.
sa Japan kasi,
Daan libo.
kung wala ka
Talaga?
talagang lisensya or wala kang sabihin na natin kung magsuschool ka or wala ka talagang, hindi ka marunong mag-drive, kailangan magbayad ng 30 na lapad. So, ang isang lapad is 5,000 pesos.
Ang laki. Hindi ko alam kung magkano ang examination sa Singapore for driving. Hindi ko pa na-explore. Pero Singapore is one of the most expensive magkotse.
True. Totoo yun.
Talaga?
Oo. Kasi,
Singapore tsaka Hong Kong, no?
kasi dito, Singapore, Hong. Pero I think mas ang Singapore. Kasi ang Singapore, meron pa silang bidding. I forgot the exact term for it. Pero you have to bid for the right to own a car. And it's limited. Meaning, take for example, they have a quota. Tapos, magkaka-opening lang kapag either mag-declare ang government na, mag-open kami ng additional slot, or merong owner na nag-let go.
Okay.
Talaga?
So, may cap sila. May cap sila sa
May cap
population
sila.
ng
Correct.
kotse.
So, ownership
totoo ba
pa lang.
yun na parang 10 years lang tapos kailangan mo nang bumili ng bago?
Yes.
Diba?
Ang ano naman dito,
Sa
10
Singapore
years.
yan? Sa Singapore
Oh,
yan?
sa Singapore.
Singapore. So, 10 years, meron kang, on the 10th year, pwede ka mag-appeal na ma-extend. Pero, kailangan pumasay yung kotse mo sa car test. Itetest nila yung engine
Talaga?
mo, itetest nila lahat. Tapos,
Same sa Japan.
if I'm not mistaken, the maximum they'll give you extension. Depende sa kalidad ng kotse mo, 5 years.
Talaga?
Same sa Japan.
Mahigpit din pala no? Mahigpit.
Tapos,
Kasi,
mahal ang tax ng kotse dito.
Same.
sige, magkano dyan ang tax?
Magtapatan tayo.
Hindi ko kabisado.
Magtapatan nga.
Nakalimutan ko na eh. Actually, nakalimutan ko na eh. Pero
Joke lang.
nakipaghapunan. Pero among my friends, some articles I read, they did say na mataas talaga tax dito. Kasi the government is very, how do I say, talagang gusto ng government i-control yung
Na parang wag ka na
number
magkotse,
ng
ganun.
kotse. Kaya ang style ng mga locals dito, at least some of the people I know na they own cars, ginagawa nila. Kaya dito pagpunta kang gaganda ng kotse. Other than the fact na bago, yung iba kasi sa kanila, ginagawa, bibili sila ng high-value car, i-maintain nila ng todo para pwede pa nilang i-benta sa ibang countries na right-hand drive.
Okay.
Ship na lang.
After 10 years, parang mga ganyan, na-reach yung maximum na 10 years, ibibenta sa ibang.
Parang babalik sa iyo yung kalahati, parang ganon.
Kasi I'll give you an example. Malaysia, right-hand drive. Pero sa Malaysia, in fact, I was driving a car. I don't know if you're familiar with the brand Proton.
Yeah.
Pero it's a very old brand, di ba?
No.
Actually was driving the very, very first car, very, very first edition ng car na ni-release ng Proton, which was what? In the early 90s.
Yun ba yung maroon na pinopost mo dati?
Wira. Yung Wira tuloy. Proton, ano ba yun? Saga. Sorry.
Saga.
Wira pala yung sa Philippines. Box type na box type, di ba? Yun.
Wow.
Classic.
Na-maintain lang yung engine. Pero sa Malaysia,
yung
pwede yun.
engine lang yun na-maintain.
No, hindi. Pina-repaint ko naman. Kasi wala akong plano mag-kotse nun eh. Kaso yung mga kaibigan ko parang paranoid eh. Parang baka makidnap ka. Siyempre tinatagalog ko na lang. English yun. Baka daw makidnap ako. Baka, kasi mahilig. Kasi I remember nun, cowboy na cowboy kasi ako eh. Magbabackpack lang ako, magsisneakers ako, lakad na ako pa uwi. So parang, some of them were like, baka daw makidnap ako. Ginagabi ako sa office, mga ganun. Coincidentally naman na meron akong office mate na may spare car. So, kinuha ko na lang sa kanya yung spare car na yun. Binenta na lang niya sa akin, ni-repaint ko na lang, yung mga ganun.
Okay.
Tapos na-maintain naman. Medyo, heartbroken nga ako na nirelease ko yun eh. Kailangan ko pumunta dito. Pero,
Parang nabutan ko pa yung post mo noon eh. Parang nakita ko pa yun.
nagsenti-senti ako noon. Dahil ko yung adventures ng kotse eh. Anday ko na ipasyal doon.
Pero safe naman. I mean, parang hindi naman nakakatakot sa Malaysia. For you.
Actually,
yung unang dating mo, hindi ka ba na, parang, tingin mo naman, parang safe naman, ganun.
Actually, I would say, as much as, siguro dahil yung experience kasi natin Philippines eh. Definitely way, way safer. Of course, may crimes, hindi nawawala sa Malaysia. If I were to compare it to Singapore, wala talaga. Sobrang safe dito. Pero, meron din. Kasi ako din, personally, naka-experience ako doon. Somebody tried to snatch my bag. Nagkataon lang nag-snap. Pero,
sa Malaysia yan?
Sa Malaysia. Pero, pero hindi siya kasing grabe sa Philippines na sometimes may areas na talagang matatakot ka maglakad.
Hindi ka talaga maglalakad pag
tsaka
mag-isa ka lang. Hindi ka talaga maglalakad na mag-isa ka lang.
Nope. Gaganong ka na lang.
Kahit pa paano.
May kasama ka na eh.
Totoo.
Matatakot ka pa din eh.
Diba
kasi yung kasama mo baka iiwan ka. Yung alam mong nagdududa ka sa kasama mo, iiwan ako nito pag nagkagulo.
Tsaka di ba sa Philippines, di ba? Nasa bulsa mo na, kabado ka pa mawala eh. At least sa Malaysia, naka-experience ako, nalaglag sa phone, nalaglag sa car park yung iPhone ko, may nagsolip eh.
Di ba?
I mean, of course, if I were to talk to my Malaysian friends, they would say na hindi na siya kasing safe as before. And I think based on also the things I observe, nag-i-increase din. Pero still, sobrang, I would say, mas safe pa rin sa Malaysia compared to Philippines. I guess you just have to be smart. Street smart ka ba? Huwag ka pa rin complacent. Kasi ako, dahil sa Singapore, na-realize ko din sa sarili ko, sometimes I have to remind myself. Kasi palibasa nasanay ako sa Singapore. Paglabas ko sa Singapore, minsan nakakalimutan ko, iniwan ko yung bag ko kung saan.
Pero safe naman eh.
What happened?
Singapore?
Sobrang safe dito. I mean, of course, may crime pa din. Pero ano kasi dito eh. Alam mo yung halimbawa, it's not surprising to hear yung halimbawa, may nasnatchan kaninang umaga. Mamayang hapon huli yun. Ganon. Tapos dito, sobrang feeling ko, hindi sobrang sanay dito yung mga tao sa crimes. Na kapag nakarinig sila ng crime, nasa newspaper yun. Parang sobrang big deal yun. Parang, kasi nga, very efficient ang security dito. So, to some extent, makikita mo very trusting sila. Ang napansin ko kasi dito, palibasa the social pressure also is high. Other than the fact na, syempre, they respect and to some extent, maybe may takot din siguro. Kasi, the government really implements it. So,
stricto talaga din.
Ang social pressure dito, mataas. So, pag halimbawa, tinanong ka nila, sa'yo ba to? Pag umuo ka, hindi ka na nila questionin. Kasi i-assume nila, hindi ka magsisinungaling.
True.
Medyo mataas ang trust level dito sa mga
honesty level rin yun, no?
Wow.
Mataas ang integrity level. The debate on whether kasi takot sa government or totoo ba, that's another discussion. Pero at least
Okay.
you can say, that's another discussion. But at the end of the day, pag may sinabi sa'yo yung tao, maniniwala ka at magta-trust ka na hindi ka nanakawan or anything. Oo, ganun.
Parang ang hirap, hindi ba mahirap na from Malaysia tapos napunta ka ng Singapore, so panibagong...
Lipat naman tayo sa current sa current country na you're staying.
Actually, I felt it was harder than the first time. Meaning yung pagpunta kong Malaysia, tapos paglipat ko sa Singapore. I actually felt it was harder the first time. Kasi, one, siguro dahil 10 years na ako sa Malaysia. That's one. Second is the fact that, they say your 20s, your early 30s, that's your primary years eh. Yan yung you will get to know who you really are. That's when you're gonna build your real friends, the things that you want. And I think a big chunk of that was spent in Malaysia. So, nung lumipat ako dito, as much as, actually, medyo to some extent, natatawa rin ako sarili ko pag naiisip ko eh. Kasi nung time na yun, ang mindset ko, parang adventure lang ulit yan. Parang nung paglipat ko from Philippines to Malaysia, ganon, you'll meet new friends and things like that. Hindi ko na-realize na it would be a lot harder for me to let go pala. Na parang, wow, doon ko na-realize many of my best friends are actually in Malaysia. Hindi ko alam na gano'n ko pala kamahal yung kotse ko. Tapos yung namimiss ko yung mga lagi kong ginagawa sa Malaysia. I even remember yung husband ko pa nga sinabi, kaya ako namimiss Malaysia kasi whether you're independent or not, may support system ka to some extent eh. Tumunog. Galing yun. So, it may not be, parang tinimeran yata ako. it may not be direct sa, what do you call this? It may not be direct na you open up, you whine or whatnot. Pero yung just the fact that you know that there are hobbies you can run to, you're very familiar na parang, minsan nga kahit puyat ako, nagugulat na lang ako, ba't ako nag-drive papuntang office? Kasi automatic na, sanay ka na. Yung mga ganun. So, yeah. I felt it was actually more challenging. Nevertheless, I was still telling myself that, part ng growth yun, part ng journey yun. So yun, learn as much as you can. Ganun lang.
So work-related din yun, yung paglipat mo or
kasi,
paano?
Nung nasa Malaysia ako, what happened was, hindi ko alam kung it was very much of a big news sa Japan yung nagkaroon ng, syempre yung politics sa Malaysia about Mahathir. Mahathir is the former prime minister and then they were like fighting corruptions and things like that. I think it was a better move for me. Not because inaatake foreigners. It's just that I think there was a bigger demand at that time to retain local talents as opposed to foreigners. And it would be better to look outside. It's a better move for everyone. At least that's how it felt. And so I was that time. So I was actively looking. Nagkataon naman na a friend of mine na sa Malaysia suggested that, actually, kaibigan ko dito yun nagkita rin kami sa Malaysia noon, na parang suggested that, why don't you explore digital transformation in Singapore kasi in demand yung profile na yan sa Singapore. In fact, nang nagharap ako, sa Malaysia pa din. For some reason, I felt Tapos nagkataon lang. So, nung sinuggest yun nung, actually, husband ng friend ko na dito based, sinabi niya, nung sinuggest niya yun, sabi ko, sige, I tried it out. Tapos yun, nag-end up through networks and all, I managed to get an opportunity sa bank dito sa Singapore. So, they brought me over.
Wow.
Okay. So, pagdating mo dyan, meron ka naman. Sige. Go ahead.
Ayun, yung digital transformation, parang pa.
Wow.
Oh.
Ano na? Sorry?
Yung digital transformation na nasabi mo. So sa bank yun? Sa bank yung sinasabi mo?
Actually, digital transformation, it's a lot of industries do that approach nowadays. Basically, it's more of like incorporating how the modern technology actually helps make industries and even how companies operate better. Digital transformation kasi maraming covered yun eh. Merong technical, merong change management, merong process improvement. Nagkataon lang na when I was in Malaysia, a big chunk of the work that I got involved in involves digital transformation when I was heading marketing operations doon. So it was very much transforming how we do marketing, how we do sales, how we build solutions. And a lot of people think when you talk about digital transformation is about just putting technologies in. There's a big chunk, and I think it comes from the word transformation. There's a big chunk kasi doon na parang how do you get everybody on board and embed the experience? You will hear that a lot kapag if you read a few on digital transformation, na parang maging natural sa experience ng tao at the same time na support siya ng technology. So there it's quite a big umbrella to discuss, but in terms of my experience, more on designing the experience and managing the change management.
Kasi kasi kung isipin mo, let's say simpleng application lang sa phone, 'di ba? It should be na parang bobo-friendly, parang ganun dapat ang dating, di ba? Na parang pag ginawa ka ng consumer yan, dapat it's easy for them to, okay, ganito pala yan, okay, ganito pala yan. Hindi ganun ka-complicated.
Yeah. Kasi, I think the common mistake, and sometimes you can't blame them as well kasi it gets lost in translation, especially when they hear the word digital. Some people think kasi, basta lagay ka lang ng lagay ng technology, digital transformation na yan. Ganon. And the thing is, ang keyword in fact sa salitang digital transformation is transformation. And how do you do that transformation? Let's go back to basics. How do you transform people? Sometimes you just really have to understand ano muna yung pinagdadaanan nila and ano exactly yung experience na kailangan nilang maramdaman para maging madali ang buhay nila. Parang mali yung Tagalog doon. Para maging madali yung everyday nila sa work. And, even dealing with things. And then, once you understand that, tsaka ka palang mag-iisip ng kung ano dapat ang technology na papasok. It's the same thing as, I'm sure narinig nyo na yung how Google works, di ba? Parang yung work environment nila na merong play area, di ba ganyan?
Yung out of the box thinking sila.
Correct. Thinking ganyan.
Class,
a lot of people, kokopyahin lang nila yon. Akala nila it will work for their company. Without understanding na iba yung nature ng tao nila, iba yung culture nila.
Kasi katulad niyan, di ba, ano yan eh. Ang mga tao, yung mga employees ng Google is more on creative minds yung mga yan eh. So once na creative block yan, kailangan iba yung release nila eh. Kailangan iba yung talagang separated talaga dapat sila sa mundo pag maglalabas sila ng para ma-freshen up sila, di ba? So kaya ganun yung out of the box thinking nila. Playground, kung ano-ano, may arcade sila.
Yeah. And yung part na nami-miss out, I think, ng tao doon is, yung transformation part doon, akala nila yun lang yun. Ang hindi nakikita ng mga tao is the work behind it. Yung pinag-aralan nila, anong klaseng tao meron sila, anong klaseng business meron sila, anong klaseng training ang kailangan nila ibigay. So, once na mas naintindihan nila yun, ito pala yung environment na dapat. So, that's the reason why may mga kumukopya, tas nag-fail. So, it's same with technology. Ganun din siya with technology. I'm sure naka-experience ka, di ba? Parang, ano ba tong app na to? Napakahirap gamitin. Chances are, dinitang nila yun, bago nila naisip, sino bang gagamit? Anong klase?
May target.
Anong klaseng experience ba ang gusto kong ibigay? Same thing with design ng layout. Kasi, yung experience design na experience ko, more on physical. Hindi, may elements ng app, pero more on sa physical. Kasi, familiar ba kayo sa smart cities?
Yeah.
Parang technology-enabled cities. Yung project na na-involve kasi ako doon, experience center yung binuo namin eh.
Okay.
So, it's like a smart city. If you look at it, hindi siya mukhang technology with all the laser beams around. Hindi siya mukhang, literal, very simple. Pero it showed there how by just using your phone, it's much easier to just pass by a retail store and be able to, get what you need. And on your way out, dala mo na yung bili mo. Or how you could monitor your kids sa bahay without feeling that you're guarding them and things like that. So it's very much subtle, but but there's a lot of details involved.
Kasi like kunwari yung di ba yung parang ginawa ni Amazon Go? Yung punta ka ng grocery, kunin mo lang tapos lakad ka na palabas. Wala lang checkout counter kasi na kagad yun, nakatag na kagad sa yun tsaka sa phone mo.
Yeah. And designing things like that, hindi lahat ng business or customers kailangan ng ganun. Also have to understand sino yung dumadaan, anong klaseng tao. Bigyan ko kita ng example You've heard of Changi Airport in Singapore?
Yes, it's my
like
favorite
one of the best.
Favorite.
Okay.
Alam mo ba,
terminal sila.
Sorry, before you continue. Na-stranded kami ng girlfriend ko dyan for 10 hours. Hindi kami nagsisi.
Talaga? Yeah. There's a lot of...
Nag-swimming ba kayo doon?
Hindi, inikot namin talaga lahat. As in, lahat. Pumunta kami nung Jewel. Kasi nga, yung tawag dito, yung pumutok yung mayon. Mayon ba yun? Yung recent lang na Taal. Yung Taal.
Yeah, I think it was Taal.
Stranded kami 10 hours. So, saya namin
Actually, Changi is a good model of that experience design. Because like take for example, right? It's a very digitally transformed with great experience design. Kasi like may dalawang terminal. I'll give you an example of 2 terminals. May several terminals, pero there are 2 terminals. Bibigay ko lang sa example. May isang terminal, pag dumaan ako, lahat dadaan ko lang yung passport ko sa scan yun. Dire-diretso na ako. Wala na akong taong kausap, nothing like that. Pero may isang terminal, magtataka ka, bakit humaharap pa sa tao? Kasi sa study nila, yun yung terminal na maraming immigrant workers who are not very good with technology.
True.
So they made the technology advancement there good enough to make it easy for them, but not too much na naging complicated for them.
Bagay. Kasi for me, for a techie person, ako sobrang gustong-gusto ko yung self-check-in counter. As in, ganun mo yung passport mo, ganun mo yung ticket mo, tapos ilalagay mo na yung bag mo doon, yung luggage mo, i-laser lang nila, tapos mamaya, tapos pasok na yun.
Sobrang convenient, diba?
Oo, tapos lakad ka na. Hawak mo na yung mo.
To save time.
Boarding pass mo. May boarding pass ka na agad. Bilis lang.
Yeah. Ganun nga.
May tayo. May question tayo sa sa chat, sa live chat. Kamusta ang COVID situation sa Singapore? Sabi ni Aiko.
Hi, Aiko.
And si Talita. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Yarza. Talita. Yarza. Hi, Taj.
Parang pinsan ko pa ata yan. Parang nagkakaroon ng fans.
Yung kanina, yung narinig mo, toaster daw.
Toaster? Ano humingi ng toaster
sa akin?
Hindi,
yung kanina, di ba may tumunog?
Saan ba yun? Saan?
Actually, hindi ko alam. Dito ba yun? Dito. Baka nga dito sa akin, hindi ko alam eh. Tinimeran ako. Tawag dito. Ayan, COVID situation.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm very impressed. It's not perfect, but I'm very impressed. And I think a lot are. Kasi it's probably one of the safest countries to be in right now. Kasi there are, how do I say? In fact, Singapore is one of those countries na very prone to transmission. Reason is, transportation hub kasi siya eh. Madami nagsa-transit sa Singapore. However, it was very, very impressive kasi people were very much to the extent na kaya ng government. They educated people about COVID-19. In fact, they even have, I don't know if WhatsApp is popular in the Philippines. They even have...
Meron naman.
Merong kasi sikat dito yun eh. In Malaysia and Singapore, sikat yun. They actually, if you want to subscribe, every day makakatanggap ka 2 to 3 updates telling you about saan ka pwede kumuha ng free mask. Kasi nag-issue sila ng free mask reusable mask. Saan ka makakuha ng free mask. Educating you what COVID-19 is and how it spreads. Ilan ang positive at nasaan sila exactly.
Talaga?
Oh, they know. Kasi, grabe, the contact tracing here is fantastic. Kasi, I wouldn't say it's perfect, pero it's more of aggressive action talaga.
Kasi dito parang tinatago nila kung sino meron.
Tsaka the government, it's very clear that the government, they do not care kung tumaas yung number and people think na wow, ang taas ng Singapore. They don't care. Ang importante sa kanila, they want to be informed. So dito, I remember may mga instances wherein the minute, kasi it went through stages eh. Syempre pa-strict ng pa-strict. Pero one of those were, may part pa nga na na halimbawa, the minute magkaroon ka ng konting sipon, konting ubo, kahit you feel okay, punta ka ng clinic. Pagpunta ng clinic, regardless, stay at home ka. Stay at home ka, tapos mo-monitor ng 14 days. May gauge yung symptoms eh. Pag sobrang obvious na may COVID-19 ka, automatic yan. Hindi ka naaalis dun sa clinic, susunduin ka na ng ambulansya. Tapos dadaling ka na dun sa isolation areas nila. Ang galing ng, believe ako sa proseso nila. Believe ako sa communication. Ang galing kasi, they never kept people in the dark eh. True. Tapos they don't care kung, kasi in fact, kung maaalala mo in the news nung first na pumutok ang COVID-19, Singapore ang isa sa pinakamatataas ang number.
Madami.
Kasi, the minute nalaman nila, inalam agad nila sino ang dapat i-test. Tapos kapag
okay.
naging clear sila.
Para masuppress agad.
Hindi katulad ngayon, alam mo feeling ko, mataas tong numbers na ng Pilipinas. Hindi lang lumalabas kasi hindi nagpapatest, hindi na alam kung sino i-test nila.
Oo.
Diyan ba nagtitest agad?
Parang meron ding may proseso din. Pagka halimbawang you display all the symptoms na may list sila eh. Pag lumabas lahat yon,
kailangan i-test na. Parang dito din siguro.
Pag meron kang symptoms na posible pero it doesn't warrant a test yet, they will ask you to stay at home. And mind you, tatawagan ka araw-araw ng Ministry of Health just to remind you to stay home. I even remember may part, 'di ba, nag-lock ang airport. So bawal na pumasok ang mga
foreign.
Yung mga foreign nagkaroon ng time. Few days before that, nagkataon bumalik husband ko. Hindi pa bawal tumanggap from the US, bumalik siya. Hindi pa bawal tumanggap ng travelers from the US. I think 3 days after, nandito na siya, 3 days na. 3 days after, nag-announce na anyone traveling from the US hindi na pwede pumasok. Considering na pumasok siya days before that, nakatanggap siya ng tawag, Ministry of Health, just asking him, may nararamdaman ka bang symptoms? How are you feeling? Ganyan. And then sinabi, although hindi ka covered nung you must stay at home, we're actually requesting you to stay home as much as possible.
Okay.
Not prohibited kasi hindi ka kasi clear naman sila eh. Hindi siya inabot ng rule. Pero they requested
to be safe lang.
To be safe. Tapos araw-araw. At pag hindi siya makontak, nakakatawa at ako tinatawag.
Imagine mo, no? So before, imagine mo yung plano nila na, kuklose natin yung gates ng ng country natin. Boom. Sige, tawagan nyo kung sino yung mga nagdatingan from this day to that day. Tawagan natin lahat yan. Alamin natin lahat.
Ang galing ng data management talaga dito.
Dito, wala.
Tapos,
dito
ang galing ng communication. I'm sure, di ba, na-experience sa Philippines yung nag-hoard yung mga tao?
Meron, may one point.
Diba? Nangyari din dito yon, pero every time, siguro normal din sa fear ng tao eh. Every time mag-a-announce yung Prime Minister na people would have to watch TV kasi he will address the people regarding COVID-19. So siguro natatakot yung mga tao, baka mag-lockdown, ganyan. Pero ang bilib ako sa sistema nila dito is, pag sinabi nilang, katulad nun, yung first night na nag-hoard, yung first day na nag-hoard, dito ako nabilib. Immediately, nag-announce yung Prime Minister na please turn, kasi nabalita na na may COVID, tapos yung mga tao, they're rushing to the
nagpapanik na.
May mga nag-circulate, even sa Facebook, nag-announce sila that the Prime Minister will address the public. Nag-announce na ganon. sinabi ng Prime Minister, please do not worry kasi we are well stocked. We could immediately, hindi tayo mauubusan, kumbaga, sinabi. And the government has a plan. We're not promising it's gonna be eradicated. Ultimately, sinabi talaga nila At saka, nabilib ako sa honesty nila. Wala pa tayong vaccine. Hindi namin mapapromise. Sinabi talaga nila strengths and weaknesses, what are the possibilities, and very open sila. Ina-admit talaga nila na baka ma-overwhelm hospitals natin, ganyan. Overnight, pagbalik mo sa grocery, of course, hindi lahat puno, pero na-replenish ulit ang groceries.
Galing, no?
So, syempre may mga brands na hindi kompleto, pero yung mga important,
yung mga necessities. How's sige, go, Yuge.
Hindi, tanong ko lang syempre, di ba, nung sinabi yung mga tao naman, sumunod naman, wala naman naging pasaway, yung mga, talaga sumusunod ba talaga sila? Or
generally, actually, abiding ang mga tao dito
Wow.
Disiplinado.
Meron, pero two things Again, there's a part of the debate of whether sincere ba sila or takot sa government, so that's one area. There's also that, mataas ang social pressure kasi dito. It's so normal. Here, a fellow Singaporean, yung mga fellows, they will actually tell, hey, you're too close. Yung social distancing. Or i-remind ka na.
Okay.
Ganun sila. Kasi ang social pressure dito, very high. So, talagang i-remind ka nila. Hindi mo kakilala yun lalakad ka lang. Tapos, ganun sila.
Kasi kumbaga para sa kanila, bit-bit mo rin yung problema ng country Kaya kung hindi
Good
mo
thing
rin...
you mentioned that.
Diba?
Kasi yun na napansin. The minute, kasi even nung first time nag-address yung PM sa mga tao, the minute banggitin ng PM na this is not just a health crisis but a threat to our country's security, the minute sabihin mo yun na lahat ng Singaporeans yan susunod yan. Kasi I think they really, they are always reminded of how their history, yung paano, na parang dati from nothing, they were kicked out of Malaysia, tapos they built themselves and things like that. So they really take pride. And mapapansin, ang observation ko, personal observation, I'm sure lahat ng countries may sariling level of consciousness of judgment from other countries. Diba? Parang you're protecting, ayaw mo magmukhang pangit yung country mo. May napansin ako sa Singapore, when it comes to protecting its country or their own, they don't care anong isipin. Katulad nun, tataas yung numbers sa COVID. They don't care. Kasi sa kanila, paki ko if you think we're high number, at least we know what's going on.
True. And kontrolado.
And if we have information, we know what to do. Yun ang ano nila dito. Ganon sila mag-isip dito.
Hindi ba nag-lockdown dyan?
They never, eto dito pa ako isa. Siguro observation from good communication. Never nila ginamit yung term na lockdown. Essentially, it was on lockdown. Pero never nila, hindi maingat sila sa mga words na ginagamit nila. They actually use they call it circuit breaker. Alam mo yun? The fuse, ganyan, circuit breaker. Parang sinasabi nila na, yeah, sure, we're doing well, but we can't be complacent. We know there's a danger na baka mag-spike pa rin. Yeah. So this round, we will do a circuit breaker. Meaning, ang nangyari naman nun is, essentials lang ang open. Restaurants are open, pero take-out lang pwede. Bawal kumain doon sa place. And then, you can go out to exercise. Basta practice social distancing. Technically, hindi ka naman nila pinigilan lumabas. Kasi yung grocery, 24 hours pa rin. Hindi naman kami, like sa Philippines, yung kailangan may pass ka to go out. You can go out anytime. Pero they started communicating to everyone na since you're working from home, try going to the grocery during the day instead when there's, less people. When you're in the grocery, try to keep distance. Tapos, continuous education of how the virus is transmitted and things like that. So, I think what really worked for Singapore is communication. Sobrang hindi sila nagkulang dito. Dito nga dengue. Kasi, syempre, Asia, di ba may dengue? Para every door naka-receive ng letter saying, kasi parang malapit kasi kami sa river. FYI, there was a positive dengue sa area nyo. So, be mindful. Hence, nasa, very sila dito. Proactive communication sila dito. Very risk-averse yung mindset nila. May pros and cons. Very sila parang, may term dito, they call it kiasu. Chinese term yun eh. Okay. Chinese nga ba yun? Basta term kiasu, meaning ayaw patalo.
OA.
So, to some extent, nagiging joke nga minsan yun. Kasi talagang sila, thinking ahead. Parang bago pa mangyari yung mali, inisip na nila lahat yun.
True.
Ganon sila dito.
So, ito naman kukwento ko lang, gusto ko rin malaman sa side mo kung napansin mo rin to. I've never thought of it, pero nung sinabi sa akin nung kaibigan ko dyan sa Singapore, sabi niya, alam mo bang Singaporeans, isa sa mga pinaka-reklamador yan. Sabi nila.
Okay. Actually.
Tapos ganito, okay. Bibigyan kita ng backstory para paano ko na-realize. So, ganito. So, na-delay yung flight namin, di ba? 10 hours. Sabi namin, immigration, punta kami ng Jewel. Sabi niya, 2 hours na lang flight nyo na. No, it's delayed 10 hours. So, what are you gonna do? So, we'll visit the mall. What? They didn't give you, Singapore Airlines yun. They didn't give you hotel? Nothing? No food? We have food. Ha? Food only?
Pero
yung immigration,
yung
immigration officer parang nirereklamo lang niya, hindi kayo pinatulog? Dapat pinatulog kayo? Dapat ganyan. Doon ko lang narinig. Go. Sige, yung side mo naman.
Ito yung na-observe ko eh. Kasi I've heard many whiners in my career. And, pero ang na-realize ko kasi sa Singapore, if you get the chance na maka-encounter ka more Singaporeans, they are, pero it's because they know it can be better.
Yun yung reklamo, yung ganun yung style nila. Hindi sa reklamador dahil maarte sila, yung dahil it should be better, it should be always better, parang ganun.
Kasi if you come here, everything works eh.
True.
To some extent, natatawa nga ako sa sarili ko eh. Kasi pag nasanay ako something works, tas biglang hindi umandar, parang nabubisit ako. Tas nire-remind ko yung sarili ko, hindi masisira yung araw mo. Kasi dito kasi parang nasanay ang tao, lahat efficient. Sobrang efficient nga dito pag sinabi kong I'll meet you in 30 minutes, I will really meet you in 30 minutes. Kasi sobrang reliable ng train, sobrang reliable ng bus, everything works. Pag parang alam mo, you can really plan your day. Ganun dito. Nasanay kasi sila.
Maganda nga yung train nila dyan.
Oo.
Kasi nung nagpunta kami dyan, nung wife and family ng wife ko, nag-vacation kami. Talaga yung train. Kasi dito sanay din ako mag-train sa Japan. Nung nag-train ako, meron sila yung mga pass. Meron din naman dito, pero ang difference, yung distance, sabihin mo, ng tinatravel mo dito sa Japan tsaka yung tinatravel mo dun sa Singapore. Yung presyo napakamura.
True.
Napakamura ng train, ng ticket. Sabi ko, grabe yung layo ng binyahe ko.
Parang nasa 200 pesos lang,
ko
300 pesos.
Walang-wala, parang 5 times ata yung presyo sa Japan eh.
This is the
Sabi
Japan.
ko, grabe.
Sa Japan, parang 3 stations lang, parang 500 pesos na kagad.
Oo. Actually,
grabe.
Nakita mo yung, talagang ini-encourage nila ang tao mag-public transportation. Makikita mo, malaki yung difference ng driving from taking the train, taking the cab to, the train, ganyan. Usually, pag magka-cab ka dito, practical lang kung marami kayo eh.
Nagde-drive ka ba dyan? Or talagang trains ka din? Train talaga. Mas convenient no? Mas maluwag. Sobrang laki. Ang luwag-luwag ng train.
It is, but at the same time, hindi, at least to me, hindi siya, I don't find it practical kasi mag-drive eh. Kasi ang mahal kasi talaga.
Ayun.
Ang mahal kasi talaga. Oo.
Tsaka mas convenient yun. Kasi kahit saan eh. Diba?
Oo.
Basta kabisado mo lang saan ka bababa, saan ka
Oo.
Kasi meron talaga yung parang ilang floors pababa. Sabi ko, pababa.
Ilang layers, no?
Oo. Sabi ko, grabe naman. Wala
Tawag dito, the way they designed it for commuting, sobrang convenient. Literal, pati yung dadaanan mo covered walk. May app nga dito na sikat wherein lalagay mo lang saan ka pupunta, tapos saan ka galing. Papapiliin ka pa, gusto mo puro train, may kasamang bus, ayaw mong maarawang ka. May ganun, kasi mga Singaporean takot pa
ayaw maarawan.
So may ganun.
Ayun, speaking of rain, yung weather niya rin dyan, no? Kakaiba.
Mainit.
Minsan mainit, minsan ang lakas ng ulan. Dahil nagpunta kami noon. So, tinitingnan ko yung weather. Maaraw pagdating namin.
Dahil lang pupunta kami doon? So, nung pumunta kayo doon, talagang
hindi.
nagalit lang si Lord tapos pinuhusan ka ng ulan.
Nagpunta kami noon. I mean, nung month na nagpunta kami doon. Kasi yung pagdating namin maaraw. Tapos pagkakita mo nakasakay ka sa train, tapos biglang makikita mo nilang dumidilim na yung paligid.
Oo nga.
Bilis
Anong month ka pumunta?
December ata.
December.
Kami nagpunta
Actually, compared to actually, madalas nga din umulan dito. Ang advantage lang, kahit umulan, usually covered naman yung walks. So, yung Pero oo nga, no? Ngayon bigla napaisip ako. Parang mas madali.
Diba, kasi sabi ko, ang araw lang, sabi ko, sige, paplano namin, dito kami pupunta. Siyempre, yung mga attractions dyan, usually open air or sa labas. Sabi, biglang ang lakas ako, sabi ko, grabe naman. Yun, pero okay naman siya kasi convenient naman yung
Totoo, kung di sobrang init, ulan, no?
Tama. Pagkatapos ng ulan, grabe naman, pawis naman kami sa init.
Concrete jungle kasi dito, kaya sobrang init Lahat madaming semento. Although, ang kinaganda lang dito, even though artificial, ang dahil lang nailagay na puno.
Sa building, mga building required na may di ba? Greenery.
Kasi hindi even though city, they made sure na may puno, may halaman, ganon. Kasi naturally naturally ang Singapore hindi siya lush katulad ng Malaysia.
Okay. Ayan. Anything more to share?
Wow, anything more to share?
Kasi medyo we're 1 hour 10 minutes na.
Talaga?
Yes.
Wow, nainganyo tayo. Dapat pag pumunta kayo ng Singapore, tuloy natin tong kwentuhan to.
Pwede.
Pagka free na.
Oo. Tama. Anything to share? Siguro
yung ask ko lang yung isa husband mo. Saan ba kayo sa Malaysia or dyan na sa Singapore? Kasi parang yung kanina yung mga kwentuhan, parang
ito na tayo sa love life.
Good question.
Husband ko, actually, he's born and raised American, pero Filipino family.
Okay.
Pero I've known him a long time na.
Sa Pinas pa yan?
Parang 12 years. Sa state siya based noon. Pero nagkataon kasi, through family.
Okay.
So, kaya lang siya. So, pag nasa Pilipinas siya, hangout, ganyan.
Yeah.
Tapos since mas flexible siya, kasi ako mas flexible siya and openness to explore Singapore din. Kaya we decided na dito muna.
Mag-stay.
So dyan na rin siya nag-work? Or
right now, exploring, po-promote ko sa inyo next time pag na-build na. Yes.
Maganda yan.
Pag na-build na,
okay.
Pero background niya kasi, dati siya nag-business sa Las Vegas ng may mga dessert shops sa Las Vegas dati. Ngayon, nag-explore siya ng ibang angle dito sa Asia.
Genre.
Para magkasama na kayo. Para
tingnan namin kasi kumbaga if I move kasi bigla sa US without any petition approved, hindi ako pwede mag-work. So, so and I have something going on here, so yun.
Okay.
Ikaw po, may last question ka?
Bucket list.
Ako, sige. Hindi, may tatanong sana ako about sa
sige. Go.
Kumbaga, siyempre, from Malaysia, nasa Singapore ka na ngayon. So, sabi mo kanina, baka pumunta ka ng US or meron ka pa bang plans or, pumalik ng Pilipinas or for vacation na lang ba talaga yun?
Kung tatanungin mo ko ngayon, na yun ang statement ko pag tatanungin mo ko ngayon, kasi may mga statement ako nagbabago over time. Parang yung sinabi ko, hindi ako mag-abroad, di ba? Kung tatanungin mo ako ngayon, hindi pa. Kasi feeling ko, andun pa ako sa adventure mode. Andun pa ako sa...
Hindi pa tapos yung chapter na yan.
Yes, ano pa. Siguro, I'll never know. Maybe babalik din ako. Maybe punta ng US. Big chance US kasi husband ko American eh. Pero we're also open na possibility baka sa Philippines mag-business. You know? But at this point, if you're gonna ask us now, it's more of, andito pa kasi. Adventure mode pa tayo dito eh. So,
okay.
Plus ako, I have to admit I love the Philippines, pero may mga bagay din kasi na nasanay na din kasi talaga ako na alam ko pag pumunta ako ng Pilipinas, alam ko, knowing myself, madali ako mag-adjust, pero pag umuwi akong Pilipinas, baka parang iyak muna ako ng mga ilang araw. Parang internet, traffic, yung mga gano'n.
Well, parang ganyan rin yung nung naramdaman ko nung pabalik na ako ng Philippines. Kasi 6 years ako nag-stay sa Japan naman noon. That's why I met Revon and Yuji. Sila yung parang naging second family ko doon. Sila yung mga naging kapatid ko dyan. So, yung sabi ko nung tatapos na, sabi ko parang, okay, back to the Philippine reality na iba na yung lahat ng convenience na to, lahat ng kagandahan ng bansa na to, parang, mamimiss ko to, mamimiss ko yung ganito. Pero, the next chapter kailangan.
Oo. Ano talaga sometimes lang unexpected, enjoy mo lang.
Pero nakaka-spoil, yun lang talaga, nakaka-spoil lang magandang, efficient, at malinis na country.
Totoo. Pero there's no denying also that with something that is very efficient, it gives you more space to do other things than actually firefighting. Ako kasi ang observation ko, siguro, I think a lot of Filipinos feel the same. It's quite frustrating kasi sa Philippines na parang you exert so much effort just to firefight instead of doing something bigger and something better. You know? So parang, don't get me wrong, may mga tao kasing that's for them. And perhaps it's not for me, not at this point at least, you know? And sometimes may mga feeling ako na parang, naku, yung galing mo yan pag dinala kita dito. Parang,
tama.
That's one. There's also that area wherein some Filipinos think ang galing-galing nila. Until pag bansa, they'll realize how behind we are.
True.
You know? So yeah, humbling, you know, you just learn as you go along. Take the good stuff, drop the bad stuff. Ganun lang.
Yeah.
Yun.
Ayun. Ano yung...
Yvonne, ikaw, may follow-up ka?
Let's end the session with this question ni Revon.
Hindi. Yung sa ano lang, parang sa ganyan mga nangyayari. So, parang may bucket list mo.
A bucket list?
Yes.
Siguro, okay. Narealize ko kasi, nung nag-abroad ako, I got to know myself better, kung ano talaga yung important sa akin, kung ano yung gusto ko. Parang, siguro, yung one day, if I could ultimately give back, to help other people succeed and flourish, not by handouts, but by sharing education and experiences. Siguro that's one. I would say na something na gusto kong ma-achieve, you know. Another one is medyo mashiya, pero you know, like I feel I'd want to be a mother, you know, and I feel like I would even years before ako kay Nasala, I've always been convinced that I would be a very good one. Siguro nga siguro arrogant lang ako, pero yung feeling ko kasi na anday kong na-experience in life, I feel like I owe it to the world na maging nanay ako. Parang gano'n, na parang to show, parang to bring up someone and share that, you know,
Soon
how
na ba
to
yan?
be a
Soon ba
better
yan?
person.
Yung ano.
Well, ngayon actually
Soon na
wala
ba
pang
yan?
plano. Wala pa akong plano. Pero, but it's a blessing to look forward to. So that's and another is
super magandang ano yan.
Kasi
Blessing.
it's a very, how do I say, para very admirable role siya sa akin. No disrespecting fathers, there's a lot, kasi hindi man ako pwede maging tatay. Pero alam mo yun, from what I can do. And so that. And then another is, I would say, siguro I'd like to continue traveling, getting to know people, and then eventually be able to share the experiences, and then to show, kasi para to show to everyone and to whoever I could influence that you could actually achieve whatever you want in life, and it doesn't have to be either or. Like kasi there's siguro idealistic lang ako, siguro shooting the moon lang ako or whatever, shooting towards the stars whatsoever. Pero yung feeling na, kasi very optimistic person. I have always believed that you could be happy and rich at the same time. You could have, while having very good relationship with your family, with your family, if you're married, your partner, if you're a parent, things like that. Kasi, but I have to make it clear, that doesn't mean I don't want to achieve still good in my career. Kasi, ang napansin ko kasi, I don't know kung culture mindset yon, but it has always been like, pagka-successful ka sa career, you're a sucky mother. Or kapag mayaman ka, salbahe ka. Or, things like that. I mean, hindi tayo perfect, but I have always believed that if I can continue to be a better person and better at everything that I do and try my best to incorporate all these, it's not easy, but it's possible. So yun. Yan ang nasa isip ko.
Yeah. Ganda.
Malalim ba?
Maganda.
Okay. With that note,
salamat.
Thank you for being our guest today.
Salamat.
Yes. Really appreciate it.
Siguro sana next time we can naman interview your husband.
Ay, sure. Sige. Sabihin ko sa kanya.
Para makwento naman yung stage.
Pero yun
Pero Pilipino siya.
Filipino
Filipino-American.
He can understand English. Hindi lang siya makasalita.
Ng Tagalog?
Oo, hindi siya makasalita.
Ako.
Kasi when he was, may kwento siya.
So, kailangan kasama ka pala ulit. Kasama ka pala ulit dapat.
Ako, translator.
Tabihan mo lang.
Actually, andyan nga lang siya sa sofa namin, nagpo-phone habang ini-interview niya ako. Kasi may story siya nung nasa States siya. Yung teacher, kasi that time, di ba, hindi naman parang English lang dapat lagi sa school. I think nag-send ng note yung perseverance niya na dapat English lang siya. So, pinractice siya English dahil doon siya makasalita. For intindihan, nakakaintindi siya.
Okay. Ayun. Okay, so, thank you again. Salamat sa mga shinare mo na stories.
Yes, thank you very much.
Salamat.
Thank you for being our second guest.
Sobrang congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, seriously, I think it's a very feel-good podcast kasi parang there's so many bad news happening around, and it's good to have people. I'm sure it's good to hear people's stories. People feel good. So yeah, congrats to you guys. It can only get better, sabi ko kay Carl.
Thank you.
Salamat.
Okay. Salamat.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Ayan. So that was Taj. Galing pa pala siya ng Malaysia and then to Singapore. So dalawa nakuha niyong kwento today. Nice.
From Malaysia to Singapore.
Grabe. Ano bang na-pick up niyo doon sa mga na-share niya? Meron ba kayong mga
as usual,
nag-stick sa inyo?
As usual, nakakaingit pa rin kasi iba Pilipinas.
Well, alam mo, usually pag iniisip mo, talagang masarap lang magbakasyon sa Pilipinas. Hindi mo talaga maaalis yun. Masarap magbakasyon.
Masarap yung lawlessness. Tapos, pag na-fulfill mo na yung hunger na yun, balik ka na sa disiplina ulit.
Pero mahirap din yung ginawa niya, di ba? Na from punta ng Malaysia, Tapos nagpunta naman ng Singapore. Parang mahirap,
Well,
diba? So,
Pero
talagang-
napaka-strong niya, di ba? Para
Oo.
gawin niya yun, di ba?
mas mahirap
tinuloy-tuloy
nga
niya.
daw
Kasi
ngayon talaga yung
isipin mo,
second time around kasi nakapag-stabilize ka na eh. Nakapag-stabilize ka na sa
Tsaka nag-grow na siya doon for 10 years. Siyempre, marami na
Oo.
siya. Sabi niya kanina, di ba? Parang doon niya na na-realize lahat yung growth, di ba?
Oo.
Sa person.
Yung experience.
Mas marami siyang naging best friends doon. So,
Oo.
kumbaga, iba-iba rin yun. Parang ikaw, di ba, nung galing ka dito, 6 years yun, tapos nung umuwi ka, lumipat ka, di ba? Mahirap, naiyak ka pa nga.
Oh, start from scratch na naman eh.
Di ba? So, talagang, tapos, ano pa ba? Nakakatawa yung mga, niya, no? Tsaka siya, sabi niya, adventurous siya, no? So, para sa babae, sabi niya, positive siya. So, nung tinakil niya yung, pagpuntang Malaysia, sige, go lang. Di ba?
Yun.
Tapos ngayon, nasa Singapore na siya. So,
Salamat kay
Wow.
Taj.
Yes, thank you for being our second guest.
Yes.
And sa Saturday, meron po
Maraming
tayong
salamat.
guest ulit from Singapore naman for another naman, another line of work. Teacher naman.
Teacher naman.
Singapore din, di ba?
Sa Singapore din.
Okay. Yeah.
Kaya yun.
So,
abangan na lang
thanks
nila
sa mga, salamat ulit sa mga nanood at mga nag-comments.
Salamat.
And appreciate namin yung mga nanonood. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And abangan niyo sa Saturday and sa mga coming weeks pa.
Yes.
More to come pa yung mga guests namin from all over the world. Yan,
Yes.
para to share positive na mga kasi nga sabi nga ni kanina, maraming pangit na nangyayari, so maganda yung may naririnig tayong maganda at saka mga personal experiences, di ba?
Connect lang
Filipinos
natin
all over
yung mga
the world.
natin.
Ipunin natin yung mga good vibes na yan.
Yes.
Let's go.
So that's it. I'm signing off. This is Carlo.
I'm Revon.
And I'm Yuzi. This is Treesumpodcast. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Salamat.
Peace.